you know, creating or adding value to the group as a batch. Okay. So I would recommend that, maybe offline you can have your own personal contact WhatsApp group or whatever you wish to have. But there is also discussion forum on Digital Vidya website. Okay. So how many of you have access to Digital Vidya website? In the chat window, you can just type if you have access. You all have, right? Okay. So, did you have any pre-sessions, like pre-read sessions or something like that? Yeah. So, how many of you have completed the pre-read sessions? Did all of you get a chance to complete those pre-read sessions? Okay. Some of you have done partially, some of you have done completely. Okay. So, are you seeing something like Statistic Foundation self-paced course in your digital Vidya dashboard? You are able to see the statistics course, right? Okay, good. So in this course, I would recommend you to do at least few sessions. Okay, and yeah, wait a minute. My voice is loud and clear, I believe. In case if you have any issues, do let me know. Okay. And whenever you are replying, I would recommend reply to everyone so that if you have any question, everyone would come to know about it. Okay. So I have here something to show you. So we have data and statistics, tabular, graphical, introduction to probability, discrete probability, sampling distributions. So I would recommend at least you complete up to continuous probability distribution before we start the next session. Okay. Yeah. So these are very short videos, 5 minutes or so. So just complete these videos before we meet next week. Okay. So next week, I mean, we will be using these concepts during our sessions. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. See, whenever we have such voice issues, I think we can check our internet speeds. If they are low, then sometimes we, get to hear distorted voice. Okay. The problem could be from my end as well and from your end as well. So I would urge you to check on your end first and also ping me so that I can check at my end. Recommended speed would be around 4 Mbps for this session so that you can hear it clearly. The more the better, but the lesser it is, it could lead to some voice breakage. Okay. Yeah. So if you are relying only on geo network or something like that, then it would be difficult. So please subscribe to some broadband service which has a good 4 Mbps plus connection so that you could hear these classes without any voice distortion. Okay. Is my pace fine the way I'm talking now? Okay, because over a period of time we get used to the same pace of your speech. So therefore, I want to set the expectations right at the beginning so that you all can adjust to that pace. Okay. Wow, great. So having known about the batch distribution, I see there are some outliers. Okay, don't take me otherwise. In statistics, outliers means people who are different from the normal range of data, right? So we have some people who are 10 plus and 14 plus years experience, and there are some 0 year experience, so range being 0 to 15 years. Okay, so we have people of all strata. We have people who are already working into analytics, some people who are completely new to analytics. So these sessions will assume that you do not know anything into analytics. Okay, so those who already have worked in analytics or who have fair bit of idea about what goes in analytics projects, for them sometimes some things could be trivial. Okay, that doesn't mean that we would ignore that. We would still go and teach those things. So those who already know, maybe you can, revise that or use it as a revision for you. But those who do not know, I urge you to hear attentively. Okay, so every session would be as important as any other session. Okay, so there is a link between the sessions which I don't want anyone to lose. If you lose the link, of course there will be video recordings available, but that would take another constant focused 3 hours of yours to listen. So I would ask you better not to miss any class. Would that be a good fair thing to ask? Yes, right. Okay, great to know about that. So this section is an introductory session, today's session, wherein we get to know what is analytics, okay, what is data science. There are various terms being used in the industry like machine learning, AI, NLP, and blah blah blah, many other terms. So what are the difference between them? Okay, and you might be hearing so many roles as well: data visualizer, data analyst, senior data analyst, data scientist, AI specialist, machine learning specialist, machine learning engineer, so on and so forth. There are various terminologies in this industry. We'll also discuss about which role would be suitable to what kind of experience and blah blah stuff. And then we'll talk about evolution of data analytics and how statistics and machine learning have evolved over a period of time. Okay, and we'll talk about different terms used, as I said earlier: AI, ML, DL, big data. Okay, then we'll talk about why Python. Okay, why not some other language like R, SAS, why we are dealing in Python. Okay, and then we will discuss about the tool called as Jupyter Notebook. How many of you have installed Anaconda software? Done, right? Okay, good. So, have you opened something called Jupyter Notebook from there? Okay, good. So, we'll show you how to work with Jupyter Notebook, some shortcuts in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, and then we will discuss about how a person in the modern days, how the job platform or job scenarios have changed. Earlier, you learn one technology, you do your assignments, get a certification, prepare interview questions, and then you get the job. But these days, the scenario has changed. Now, people want to get those people in who are ready for doing the job right from the word go. Okay, so in order to make yourself suitable for that kind of jobs, what is that you can do? So there are some public data sets available on some sites like Kaggle, datascientist.net, which help in solving public dataset problems, building your profile. Okay, so if you are a good performer on Kaggle, that thing is taken into account when your resume goes into screening process. And after going there as well, your experience spent upon working with this Kaggle data sets, especially for people who are students and who are having some experience into data warehousing, data science, or some aspects of it, it is really very beneficial to make a quick move into data science world. So we'll discuss about Kaggle data set, Kaggle's site. We'll discuss about datascientist.net, and then there is one data set which we would be there's one data set which we would be using throughout our course, at least for the first 10 sessions, which is based on IPL data set. So we have data on the IPL season matches, the runs scored, the batsmen and the teams, their winning percentages and all that. So we will be working on that data set as our example data set throughout. Okay. So I'll introduce you to that data set today, and then we will start with Python programming. Sounds fair? Okay. So Karthik, what rank is good? So that depends upon how many participants are there. If you are there in top 10, 20 percentile, it is always good. Okay. But even if you get a rank around 50 or 100, that is also okay. What matters is how much you are practicing. Okay. And when you are putting a question, put it in public. There is nothing to be afraid of and nothing to be, be shy of. So just put it across so that everyone knows. Okay. Okay. So on the chat window, there you will see two. Under two, there is an option to select an individual or you can select everyone. So if you select everyone, the message will go to everyone. So I'm just familiar with this go-to tool, and so that you can use it effectively. Sounds fair so far, whatever we have discussed. Any questions, comments? Okay. So the objective of this online class, although it is an online class, is to make it as close to classroom class as possible. Okay. So I would like it to be interactive. So whenever I ask you a question, if you know the answer, ping it. If you do not know the answer, say no. Okay. If I ask you correct, incorrect, say correct or no, incorrect. Okay. And if I say something yes, no, please do say yes and no, because that is the only way I can gauge your feelings. I can gauge your understanding. Hope you all can understand and cooperate with me so that I can make this learning experience very fruitful for you. Would that be a would that be a good way, right? Yeah. So let us do that. And sometimes if there is any question which you feel very, very difficult to type in a short way, just ping me that you have a question and you want to ask. I will give you time to unmute yourself and ask that question. Try to be brief and to the point when you are asking any question. Okay? Yeah. So that's the expectation. Towards the end of the session, you will be getting a feedback link from me on the chat window. So if you have anything to suggest, do suggest. If you feel it was a very good session, do mention that as well. Okay. So I will be giving you the feedback link towards the end of the session. So that way we would be able to understand each other in a better fashion. Okay. Yeah. So moving on, as you know, you all have entered into this field, enrolled into this course, having heard of the boom registered in the market about data science, isn't it? There are so many jobs and they are very high paying jobs. Data science is the new oil for 21st century. Data is the new oil. Data is the new gold, isn't it? Have you heard of this term? Yeah, according to HBR, Harvard Business Review, in India itself, there are about 2 lakh openings into data science field. Everyone have heard of these terms. Okay. Now everyone wants to get into this field. But before getting into this field, some basic checks we need to do. First check is, am I ready to commit myself every day, minimum 2 to 3 hours, spending about reading on data science and trying out things in Python or any other language, preferably Python, because between all other languages which are open source, Python is being very, very widely used in the industry. Okay, so some people will ask you typical question, why not Python? Why Python? Why not R? Why R? Why not Python? The answer is very simple. Python is very fast when we are processing huge amounts of data. Python has very good support in the form of, although it is open source, we have a lot of blogs like Stack Overflow, etc., wherein we can discuss the issues which we are coming across while programming. Okay, we have a lot of packages like NumPy, Pandas, Scikit, sklearn, okay, which gives us, these are like libraries in C. Okay, so they have wonderful functionalities using which we can implement complex functionalities within 2 to 3 lines of code. Okay, so that is the beauty of Python, and that is the reason we have this course on data analytics or data science using Python. So the first half of the, first half, I mean, about 18 lectures are planned, right? Among the 18 lectures, the first 9 lectures would discuss various functions, various packages, various libraries present in Python using which you can do data manipulation or data cleaning. Okay, so believe me, you would also be interested in to knowing what is the world of data science. How does a typical data science scientist day is there in the office? Okay, what amount of time he spends on a project, and among that, on which part of the project he spends most of the time. Okay, so mostly a data scientist typically spends 70% of the time in data procurement, pre-processing and cleaning before he does any modeling. Okay, so that is where the first 9 sessions will help you in procuring the data, cleaning the data, pre-processing the data, so that it is in a desired format on which a model could be applied. Is that clear enough what I told? Yeah, yeah. Thanks for confirming. So that is what we would be doing in the first 9 sessions. We will be learning about various ways to process the data, usage of libraries like Python, Python libraries like Pandas, NumPy, okay, Matplotlib, Seaborn, okay, for data visualization. So sometimes a picture is worth more than 1,000 lines. A simple one single picture is worth more than 1,000 lines. Therefore, the importance of visualizing data cannot be denied. And that is where we have libraries like Matplotlib and Seaborn. So we will get to see what kind of visualizations we can create with these libraries as part of our curriculum. Okay, so data is the natural resource these days. Every company is sitting on piles of tons of data, and none of them have used that data in the past. It is said that from eternity till 2013, whatever data was collected, the same amount of data has been collected in the last 2 to 3 years. Okay, so if I have to give you one small picture, okay, every day there are some thousands of GBs of data is being uploaded on YouTube. There are thousands and thousands of GBs of data on Twitter. Okay, there are many streaming sites, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Okay, even the sensors have been placed at different places by the administration to get the data. So this data is also humongous. So we are like drowning in the ocean of data, but unless we utilize that effectively, there is no meaning to it. Because of the development on the data side, on the data infrastructure side, capabilities to handle huge amounts of data on small amount of space, we are capable to store huge amounts of data now. Earlier also we had data science or statistics, but the hardware processing power was limited, because of which the power of data analytics could not be utilized properly. But now that the caveat for storage is over and we have huge performance, highly performance oriented graphical processing units, CPUs, GPUs, etc., we have we are making significant advancement in the data science space. Okay. Someone asks you, was statistics not there earlier? Statistics is a very old branch of mathematics. It has been there from long back, but the capability to store the data or process huge amount of data was not there earlier. But with the advent of Hadoop, open source distributed architecture, and the capability to process huge amount of data using GPUs and distributed architecture has helped us to tap into this power of data by processing it and using it in analytics. Is that clear why we are studying data science now? Okay. So what is data analytics? It's basically a set of processes and techniques to derive meaningful insights out of the data. Okay, just looking at data, we won't be able to understand anything. But if you want to apply certain processes and techniques and get the data, okay, in a very structured format, then you plot it, then you can derive some meaningful insights. Okay, I just had some information on your participant list. Okay, so whatever you are seeing on my screen, this is your participant list. Now, if I apply, a small process on this, then I check what is the count of professionals, what is the count of students. Roughly, I will see that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I see that most half are students and half are professionals. People who are already working in some industry with some experience. Okay. Now, out of this, again, I can see what is the ratio of male is to female. Okay. I can also check how many of them are having Gmail IDs. All of them are having Gmail IDs. So, like this, we can derive certain characteristics out of the data so that we can summarize the data in a structured way. Okay. Just looking at a table with 18 rows not immediately make a sense. But when I try to summarize the table by just putting some filters, we can get to know in general about the batch. Okay, a very simple example which I have used. Okay, but in general as well, any data you have, if you clean it and you structure it using some tools, then you get meaningful insights out of that data. Do you agree with me? Yeah, you have to. There is no other way. Okay. So analysis is the process of breaking a complex topic or substance into smaller parts in order to gain a better understanding of it. This is the English meaning of analysis. Even it is applicable to our case. So when you have huge amount of data, you filter it by different ways and then you try to process it. Okay. For example, you have the data on Titanic ship. You might, all of you might be knowing that Titanic was a very huge cruise which was made and it was told that even God cannot sink it. Have you heard about it? Titanic? I'm sure at least the movie. Yeah. So that was a ship which sunk on its maiden voyage. Right? So on Kaggle, there is a dataset called as Titanic dataset that has information about all the passengers that were boarding that ship on its maiden voyage. So it has their names, their sex, whether they were male or female, their age, whatever their age was, then whatever class they were traveling in, first class, second class, or higher class, anything like that. And it has information on whether they survived or not when the ship sank. Okay. So given a set of attributes like their age, their sex, their name, There are some other fields like the class in which they were traveling. Okay. So can we predict whether that person survived or not? That is a simple data science problem, which I think I will show you sometime later. But where that is where you will understand the importance of understanding data by breaking it into smaller parts. So we can check how many males survived, how many females survived, the ratio of them. We can check how many children survived, how many middle-aged people survived, and how many old people survived. Okay, so breaking the data into smaller pieces and getting an idea about the data is possible using descriptive statistics. So now what is descriptive statistics? Anyone, any idea? Any guess? Yeah, Sonakshi, to some extent, it's about summarizing the data. So it's describing the data. So you either find the mean, median, mode, min, max, range, okay, and then you find the standard deviation, variance, etc. All those terms, that is called as descriptive statistics. Okay. So within data science, you have you have two types of statistics: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Okay. So by and large, descriptive statistics means describing the data in a shorter format. Describing the data in a summarized format is called as descriptive statistics. Okay. Inferential statistic means you take a sample of the data and based on that sample, you try to derive information about the population. Okay. For example, now it is a poll season, right? There are 5 states which recently went to assembly elections: Telangana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Mizoram, right? Anyone who is interested into politics might be definitely observing it. The day as soon as the elections in Rajasthan concluded, immediately people started drawing exit polls. And some of them predicted a clean win for the ruling party, whereas some of them have predicted the clean win for opposition party, while some of them have given a range of votes, okay, between for the two parties. How many of you heard about these exit polls? Okay, Pavan did, Surya did. Okay. Some of you did, right? So what do they do? Do you think if there are 70 lakh voters in a constituency, do you think they go to every individual and ask about their vote? No, right? So what do they do? How can they conclusively say that this party is going to win this many seats and this party is not going to win? How can they say that? Not exactly ratio. Sample, right? I was looking for that term. So what they do is they try to create a representative sample. Okay, so within an assembly constituency, suppose there are some 56 villages. Okay, now as per the state, they will decide how many rural, how many urban, how many of OBC, how many general caste, how many non-Hindus, how many Hindus. Among Hindus, they will further make subdivisions and so on and so forth. They will take a representative population from each of those. So, I mean, ideally, that is how it should be done. Then it is called as stratified sampling. So you take a record from every strata of the society, okay, from every religion, from every caste, from every region, okay. So you try to make your sample as representative as possible, okay, and based on that, you try to infer your population outcome based on your sample outcome. This is why this kind of statistics is called as inferential statistics. Is it clear, the definition? Yeah. So, and you might have noticed many a times these exit polls go wrong more often than not. Very few of them will be on par or at the exact or in the range, right? More often they get wrong. Reason being, if your sample is not representative enough, okay, sometimes it could be a biased sample, okay. You either just you take too many data points from one particular caste and they may be against the person who is contesting, so they may not be able to give a proper representation. Sometimes you may miss out on the urban people, sometimes you may miss out on the rural people, sometimes you may miss out on particular section of the society, women, men. So the way everyone votes is different. So your representative sample should be really representing the whole population. Hence, it is very important that you give stratified sampling. So you should do stratified sampling of the data. So at the best, whatever we can predict based upon the data at hand, we can do that. So the aim of statistics is to talk about a population based on a sample. Now this is really remarkable, isn't it? For example, when you cook rice, how do you check whether the rice is cooked well or not? Do you go and press every grain in the rice to check whether it is cooked or not? How many of you know cooking rice? You all know, right? I hope. Okay. Yeah, you take one or two grains of rice, you press them, and if it is like cooked, then you will understand that everything else is cooked, right? Yeah. So that is how we try to derive information about lot of grains of rice, whether they are cooked or not, based on the sample piece of grain which we pick from the cooked pot, right? Similarly, these psephologists or political analysts, they try to understand the micro scenarios, macro scenarios within an assembly, the religious kind of environment, the kind of policies taken up by the ruling government, and also for different castes and different subcastes, what kind of government policies were there, what is their mood, what was their mission. Based on that, they try to do pre-poll surveys, post-poll surveys, and finally, after the elections get concluded, they'll do these exit polls. Okay, so that is how sampling helps in inferring about population. It's really good. I mean, we may not be exactly to the point correct, but still, with whatever data we could collect, it is very much possible to gauge about the population. Don't you think it's really great? Yeah. Isn't it? Because it is very costly affair to go to every individual in every house and ask what party have you voted for. If there are about 10 million voters, can I inquire everyone? It's not possible, right? Therefore, within short duration of time, with less cost, how many representative data points can I take in my sample? That is where the efficacy and efficiency of a cephalogist lies, or an analyst lies, okay, or a data scientist lies, okay. So analysis is a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data with the goal of discovering useful information, suggesting conclusions, and supporting decision making. Now, this definition in itself summarizes everything. It says about collecting data, inspecting the data, looking at the descriptive statistics of the data, cleaning the data. Now, sometimes the data may not be having all values. There could be some missing values. So you may have to impute the data or remove that. Okay. Sometimes the text data, if there is any text data, it may contain symbols and unknown characters. So you may have to use some regex patterns, regular expression patterns to clean the data. And sometimes if the data is not distributed in a theoretical ideal distribution as per your algorithm's requirement, then you may have to transform the data mathematically so that it fits the standard normal distribution or any other distribution you want. And then you will model the data using some ML algorithm, machine learning algorithm. So once you do that, the goal is to discover something useful out of it. And once you discover, based on your outcome, you will suggest some recommendations which can support the decision making of the business. This is the entire data scientist life cycle. Entire data science works life cycle. Get the data, inspect it, clean it, transform it if required, model the data, outcome, suggest recommendations based on the outcome so that business can take decisions. Ultimately, if your data modeling process is not helping business in decision making, then what you are doing is not of great value. So all that interest in data analytics which you are seeing in the market is because people are able to derive useful information out of the data, which is helping the organizations to reduce costs operationally, to build their strategy for the coming year, and to suggest things so that they can be ahead in the market of their competitors. There are data science projects which are doing automation, which are reducing operational costs, which are predicting attrition of employees, which are predicting attrition of clients, which are predicting forecasting revenues from each client, okay, which are predicting the feedback from the customer in terms of the product reviews. They are doing sentiment analysis about their company's brand image in the market, okay. All these things are possible to be done using data analysis and data science techniques which you would be learning. Does that give you a big picture or not? Okay, especially those who are students, you understand what you are doing, why you are doing, because you may not be having the perspective about data science with respect to industry. So that is where I am trying to chime in with my examples on the projects which I have worked, so that you get an idea about what you'll be doing once you are into this field. Sounds good? Okay, so we have discussed this thing, why businesses need analytics. Because we cannot count everything, so we have to understand summarized information. We can visualize the data using graphs, and using that, we can derive some conclusions. We have to model the data to take some decisions. Okay, so if your modeling is giving wrong inferences, and decisions are taken based on those wrong inferences, they may lead to very huge costs. Therefore, we have to be very, very careful with our modeling and analysis. So, as you can see, earlier we had only statisticians. Okay. Earlier we had only statisticians in the 19th and before that. Later on came business analysts, basically MBA people with little bit of statistics. So they had some domain knowledge and they were applying statistics. They are called as business analysts. Then we had pure data analysts who are working with statistical packages, who are also trying to understand data, add their own business knowledge to it, do some small predictions. Okay, BI stuff, business intelligence stuff we were doing. Then came data scientists. So in general, a data scientist is a combination of your business knowledge, your programming knowledge, and your statistics knowledge. So equal ratio of all: business knowledge, statistics, and programming. Okay, is required for a data scientist. Okay. And now, with the scale of data growing so rich, a knowledge of Hadoop and distributed architecture like Spark, PySpark, Hive is also an important part to become a big data scientist. So earlier, if you only know statistics, it was okay. After that, some business knowledge with statistics was okay. After that, some programming plus statistics, little bit business knowledge is okay. But now we require combination of both business knowledge, programming, and statistics along with big data stack. Then you can call yourself as big data scientist. Anupam, can you hear me? How about others? Okay, how long has it been like that? Just now or from the beginning? Okay, okay. So I'll repeat. Is it fine now? Yeah, good you pointed out, Anupam. Thank you for that. Sometimes there could be variation in the packages which you get as part of internet, right? Mine is a good connection. Let me check still. It's a good connection, about 7 to 8 Mbps. I think there could be some issues sometimes, no matter what. Okay, no problem. I'll repeat whatever I have discussed. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now clearly? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Is it fine now? Okay, great. Thanks. So I was saying that we have statisticians earlier in the old era where they were only working on sample data sets, small set of data. Later on, we had business analysts, data analysts, those who are working with some business knowledge and some small amount of data. Now we have data scientists. A scientist is someone who knows statistics better than a programmer. He is a statistician with more programming knowledge and is a programmer with more statistic knowledge. So it means basically he should know both statistics and programming. And along with that, there should be business knowledge, domain knowledge in which he is working. So all three comprise of very important part of data science. Clear? Yeah. Now, along with the advent of huge amounts of data, it has become important that we gain knowledge on distributed side like Hadoop, Hive, Scala, Spark. Okay, these are some important things which we can use on big data architecture. In fact, Spark comes with support for machine learning. There is Spark ML Hive is just like SQL. So if you know SQL, you also know Hive. Okay, you just have to integrate it with Hadoop architecture. Okay, so these are some things which are evolving in the analytics data space. Earlier, when people started doing statistics, SAS was a very popular tool. Okay, SAS exists even today, but it is a paid tool. Therefore, everyone is trying to get rid of SAS. Although SAS as a product has very good support, SAS has its own machine learning capabilities. BI capabilities, statistics capabilities, so on and so forth. But it is a paid tool and they charge hugely. That's why everyone is trying to get rid of SAS. Then Excel, Microsoft Excel also has various capabilities, not as strong as SAS or Python or R, but still it has some capabilities which can be done. In fact, some old school thought of people still do mathematical models in Excel. Okay, if you go to banks and some places, even they will have written macros, etc., and they will build some model in Excel sheet itself. Okay. Next, around 95 2000, R was born and was adopted by statisticians. R is very widely used among academicians and statisticians because of its simplicity. It is very simple to code, but however, it has issues with respect to processing huge amounts of data. Okay, that is where Python and Pandas were born around 2009, and since then there is no looking back. Lot of packages are created, many open source libraries and packages exist in Python, and there is good support from the community as well. So that is where, being an open source tool, Python, Pandas and its various libraries have been helping machine learning engineers, data scientists very much to process the data in a easier and simpler way. And after 2010, we also have integration of Spark with Python, Spark with R. We also have Java, Scala, etc. These are also some associated technologies which, if a data scientist knows, then it is better for him in terms of job opportunities and to understand the bigger picture. Is that clear? Okay. So how do the life cycle of data science projects goes? Okay, and what kind of different types of projects do we see, or what kind of problems do we solve? So that is what we will try to discuss as part of this slide. Okay, so the aim of any analytics or science project is to design some experiment, or also called as hypothesis testing. Okay, so hypothesis means something which you know as your status quo and you want to test it. So if you get sufficient evidence, if you get sufficient proof that what you believe in is wrong, then you will reject your idea and you will accept the new idea proposed. Okay, for example, you assume the error rate in manufacturing nuts and bolts is 1%. Okay, now this is your standard assumption based on the data you have or something like that. If someone gives you a proof based on a bigger sample of data, okay, that whatever your assumption is or whatever your hypothesis is may not be true, so based on a statistical method called as hypothesis testing, you will prove or disprove that experiment. Okay, so that is hypothesis testing in a nutshell. So more about it you can learn from the stats self-study course which is given to it. And if you still do not understand anything, then we can discuss it always. Is that okay? Today's class is just introduction. So as and when we go deeper, we will discuss it in detail. Okay. Then there are problems, mathematical models or machine learning models like regression, classification, time series analysis. What is regression? Regression is finding out y based on x. So if your equation is of the form y is equal to mx plus c, if you know the values of x, m and c, can you predict y? Yes, no? Yeah, you can do that, right? So suppose you want to predict the price of a house in a particular area. What all factors do you take into consideration if you are buying a house in a particular building? How do you decide whether the price quoted by the builder is appropriate or not? Yeah, Karthik says locality. And what else? I want everyone to chime in with their own version. Number of rooms, correct, Jatin. Price, area, square feet, carpet area, okay. Area, okay. And what else? Infrastructure, okay. Facilities, amenities, nearby, neighbor, cost of other building, exactly. So you see, just one thing, and we came out several factors, several variables which influence the price of the house. Whether east facing or west facing, whether garden facing or not, whether it is high floor or not, whether the amenities are there or not, whether it is near to bus stand, railway station or IT park. Okay. Is there any public transportation facility available at any time of the night? Is it reachable? Is there safe? Is there any crime rate in and around? Is there any slum in and around? See, like this, you can come up with any number of factors which can influence the price of the house. Correct? The builder, how reputed he is, the fittings in the rooms, the kind of material used in construction. Is it ISO certified? Is it fireproof? What are the refuge area? What is the title of the land? Correct? All these are important factors, isn't it? Now, can I say that the price of house is a linear combination of these variables? Some factor into each of these variables. If I sum them up, then I can get the price of the house. So when you have this kind of equation, it is called as regression. Of course, there are some assumptions which should be valid for a regression problem, like the distribution of data should be normal, okay, and the error should be minimal, and the residual should be normally distributed. All those things we will discuss in our self-study paced course on statistics. And as and when time comes, I'll also talk about regression. Fine? Okay. So what is classification? Classification means whether an email is spam or not, whether it will rain or not, whether a customer is high valued or low valued customer or middle values customer. Okay. So whenever I give you data, you classify the data into either A or B classes or ABC classes. A given ball, is it red, green or white? Okay. Something like that. So given a student's marks, is it below average or above average or average? So when you try to predict something by classifying into different classes, that type of data science problem is called as classification problem. Is that clear? Okay. Then we have called something called as time series analysis. In time series analysis, you get the data associated with every day, every week, or every month, depending upon what kind of data you are getting. You do some time series analysis. So major problems involving time series data are forecasting. So you have the data on sales for the last 3 months. So you want to predict the sales for the next week using that data. This kind of problems can be solved using time series forecasting. Okay. Then there are problems where you can do causal effect analysis. So you find the root causes, what is the effect of it, and then you suggest some recommendation based on that. Okay. Then there are problems where you are doing like predictive modeling. So basically linear regression also you are doing predictive modeling, and then classification you are doing, again it's part of prediction only. Okay. So there are some other features like in supermarket data. Okay, you have something called as market basket analysis. So there are huge amounts of data in textual data also. When you are doing text analysis, you build a matrix which is sparse in nature. Okay. So this matrix will have huge number of rows and columns. So if there are very huge number of columns, there is a problem comes in machine learning called as curse of dimensionality. Okay. So in order to reduce that dimension of the data, we employ techniques like PCA, principal component analysis, or we employ techniques like SVD, singular value decomposition. Okay. These techniques are applied to reduce the dimension of the data. So these basically are called as dimensionality reduction techniques. Is that clear? We'll discuss more about them at a later stage. Karthik, what is the issue? What you did not follow, Karthik? Can you type? I will repeat that. Okay, dimensional reduction. Okay, I was talking about singular value decomposition, principal component analysis. Is that what you are referring to? Karthik, why don't you unmute yourself and ask your question, please? Karthik with TH in his name. How about others? Were you able to follow what I said so that I can repeat?
Hello, Mahesh.
Yeah, Karthik.
Yeah, regarding the previous topic which you had said, like after the regression and causal analysis, the
Mhm.
next topic you to tell it was like much of higher version. Like I didn't get it.
Yeah. So this is definitely a
Yeah,
higher version which we'll be discussing in our class number 13, 14, 15. Okay.
yeah,
So right now,
right, right.
I'm just giving an overview of what all is part of the data science skill set.
Yeah, okay, okay, sure.
Is that clear? So just,
Yeah,
I
clear.
mean, we are not going into details at this stage, but just telling
Okay.
the name may not be useful. So I'm giving a glimpse of it.
Yeah, but I got an idea about the regression and the classification and the time series analysis. And
Okay.
after that, like after the regarding that causal analysis, like I lost that. I lost it there.
Okay. I'll repeat that. Okay.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thanks. Okay. So yeah, guys, many a times we do cause effect analysis. Have you drawn fishbone diagrams or anything like that before? So you will find out what are the causes and what are the effects. Okay. Suppose you are seeing an A effect, you will try to dig out and find out the cause for what is causing this. This is done by every organization and even in personal lives. If we are seeing any effect, what is the reason behind it? We try to do that causal effect analysis, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that is causal effect analysis. Okay. Next comes, we are discussing about these four things, right? So all these techniques are part of machine learning space. Some of them we would be discussing as part of this course. Okay. So clustering the data. So what is clustering the data? Clustering means it is a technique where you do not have labeled information whether a particular data point belongs to class A or class B or class C. No information is there. Okay, so such clustering comes as something I'll discuss as unsupervised learning part in our machine learning. So what is unsupervised learning? So when you do not have first hand information on which class a particular data point belongs to, whether it belongs to A, B, C, or there is no information on that. For example, you are working as a HDFC bank. Okay. Now you have information on the transactions performed by different customers in your bank for last 1 year. Okay. Is that problem statement clear? Okay. Now, based on the transactions performed, you want to find out what kind of customers you have. Do you have high valued customers, low valued customers, or middle valued customers? So, what you want to do is you want to segregate these different kind of customers into three groups: high valued, low valued, and mid valued, so that you can send them some promotions, some offers, or something like that. For example, if you are a high valued customer, won't I want you to retain, don't I want you to be with me forever? If you are a business, you always want your high value customer to be with you, right? So you may go little extra mile to ensure that he's always happy. So you may give him some preferred customer tag. You may give him some free net banking, free IMPS. Okay. You may give him no limit on his ATM card. He can withdraw as much as he want. Okay. You may give him facilities like that. Do you agree with me on that? Yeah. So he will say, if you are every day, every month, if you are doing transaction in lakhs, okay. So then there may not be any minimum amount for you in the bank. Whereas for a low valued customer, they may ask him to keep minimum 10,000 or 5,000 in the bank, right? So on and so forth. So clustering helps in dividing the customers into three parts or four parts or whatever number of parts you want. So basically clustering is an act of grouping any entities into separate groups. Is that clear about clustering? You do not have any labeled information here. Okay. Now, collaborative filtering is an example of recommendations you see. Okay. So when you open Amazon website and you log in into your account, do you see certain recommendations based on your past purchase history? Suppose you buy shoes, they will show you socks. If you buy badminton racket, they may show you cocks. Okay. If you buy bed, they may show you bed sheets, pillow covers, right? So based on your recent purchase history, they may show you some other recommendations. So behind those recommendations or recommendation engine, the technique which is used is called as collaborative filtering. Okay. Next, I spoke about dimensionality reduction. So when the number of columns or number of features becomes very large, 100,000, 5,000 like that. So this happens in problems like text analytics, etc. When we deal with, we get huge number of columns because there we convert the text data into words. Each word will become a feature, and when it becomes a feature, there will be so many words in a paragraph of text. So huge number of columns form. So at that time, we may have to do some dimensionality reduction. We may apply some dimensionality reduction techniques used in linear algebra. How many of you have studied mathematics in your college or school? School, everyone does. How many of you studied in plus two? Okay. Have you heard about linear algebra, matrix algebra, etc.? Okay. So I would ask you, if you haven't, you can learn about linear algebra from Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a good source to learn linear algebra. Okay. So if you want to learn about how to multiply matrices, see, it is important that you know how are matrices multiplied, what are different types of matrices, identity matrix, idempotent matrix, how is matrix inverse is calculated, eigenvalues, eigenvectors, singular value decomposition. Okay, do you get the point? So that is where importance of mathematics comes into picture for a data scientist, because many of these algorithms inherently are working on mathematical principles. So calculus and matrix algebra are very important to understand the machine learning algorithms. Did I make it clear enough? Okay. So we'll discuss about these other techniques more in detail when we study about them. For now, let me move ahead. So I was mentioning about different types of machine learning, right? So under machine learning, thanks Karthik. Under machine learning, we have supervised learning and unsupervised learning and semi-supervised learning. Most of the times we deal with the top two, bottom is rarely we come across. Supervised learning means we have first-hand information on the label of the data. For example, if there is a banking data, transactional data, you will have one column where there is information on whether is a high customer or a low customer or middle customer. So what you do is you train the machine learning data using the labels. Data already has labels. And now when a new transaction record comes, you want to classify it into whether it's high value or low value or middle value. So based on the patterns in the existing labeled data, the new record will get classified into one of those classes. That kind of machine learning is called as supervised learning, where there is labeled data on which the machine learning algorithm is trained. Now, if you have transactional volume, you have information on the transactional data, but there is no column which tells whether a particular transaction is high valued or middle valued or low valued. There is no first hand labeled data. So you just have the transaction volume, no data on whether he is what kind of customer. Okay. So in such a scenario, you will do clustering, and based on the number of clusters formed, you will try to study those clusters. Okay, then you will understand whether it is a high value customer or low value customer. For example, if you look at this diagram, are you seeing this k-means cluster diagram? Yeah. So you see the green points are all on one side, then there are red points, and then there are blue points. So if I assume that this is banking data, okay, I see this is one cluster, the green one, the red one is another cluster, and the blue one has another cluster. Now based on what is there on x and y axis, suppose as I go right on the x axis, I am seeing that the number of years with my bank, a particular employee, sorry, a particular customer, his customer since how many years. That information is there on x-axis. And on y-axis, I am seeing information on the transactional volume, how much amount of money he is transacting from his account. Now, look at this data and tell me what are these green cluster talking about. Just give me a rough guess. As we go on x-axis, we are finding number duration of the customer with the bank. And on the y-axis, we are finding transactional volume. So you tell me what would be the green cluster, what would be the red cluster, or what would be the blue cluster. Just give it a guess. If you have done this, you have understood clustering. No one is trying. Karthik, can you hear me? Jatin? Yeah, I understand different class of customers. Okay. So the green are high value because they are spending more time with the bank and they are performing high value transactions. As blue, they are performing low value transactions and the time spent on the bank is also less than 2 years. And red, although the time spent with the bank is less than 2 years, they are performing high value transactions. So in terms of attributing a class, what would be green, what would be red, and what would be blue? Green are high value, agreed. Thanks, Abhishek. How about red and blue? Guys, guess what is there in guessing? You may be wrong, but that's okay. Okay, let me help out. Red are having high value transactions, but age with the bank spent. Can you explain high value term here? Okay, when I say high value, they are of more importance to me because they have spent good amount with my bank. I have a longer relationship with them and I don't want to lose them. They are the ones who are consistently doing good amount of transactions with my bank. Yeah. So I will call this as high value cluster, the blue one as low value, and the red one as middle value. Just for segregation sake. Okay. Is it clear? Okay. So this is a data analytics life cycle. So as I said earlier, we have business operations. We collect data from them. We do some processing on the data, apply some mathematical modeling, and from that modeling, we derive insights. Based on the recommendations given by some actions will be taken. If those actions lead to value for the company, then it is a complete data analytics life cycle. Yes, no. We have data coming from various operations. And once we collect the data, process the data, we will apply analytics on it, right? Once we apply analytics, we will do some modeling here, and there will be some outcome from the model. And on the model, we will apply our business understanding and will derive some insights out of it. Based on those insights, we give suggestions to the business who will take actions on our suggestion. And if those actions will lead to value, then your cycle is successful. Otherwise, also you have tried. Okay. Guys, can you hear me? Okay. 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 So this is an online platform. At times there could be breaking, but you should immediately let me know. Okay. I've seen my speed levels are quite good here. So the issue could be sometimes at your end as well. Okay. So just ensure that you have a proper connection. What is your internet speed? All of you are having good speed? 8 Mbps or around that? Okay. Okay. Anupam, still you are hearing voice breakages from your end? Okay. Sometimes, but is it like you are not able to hear anything or like some low voice or something like that? Okay. By and large, you are able to understand what I am trying to say or no? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll check from my end also if there is an issue, but the speed is good and I have successfully dealt one batch, the same kind of batch. Even they had some issue in the first session, but earlier we sorted it out and then it was clear from the second session. Okay, I'll repeat the cycle, Karthik. Don't worry. And sometimes it would be the issue with Go transmitter as well. Okay, the Go tool. Okay. So I'll talk to the program coordinator also to look into it. Okay, fine. So look at this data analytics life cycle. So we have various applications and operations. From this, the data is collected, the data is cleaned, processed, and some suitable analytical model, mathematical model is applied on the data. And based on the data outcome, we derive some insights. Those insights are suggested to the business as recommendations. And based on the usage of those recommendations, the business will take certain actions. Okay. And based on the actions, you derive some value for your organization. Okay. This determines the success of your analytics project. Is that clear? Okay. Good. So it's perfect time for us to take a break. We are about 11:28 now. Okay. Let us meet at 11:40 and we will discuss the rest of the session. Okay. Sharp 11:40 we will meet back and then we'll start with our rest of the session. Would that be fine? Okay. So let us meet back at 11:40. Okay. So now let us, yeah, I'll share the screen. So the journey into data science, that is what we will be discussing now. Okay. So as I said, for a data scientist, it is important that he has good knowledge of mathematical and statistics. Okay. And then he should have domain knowledge, that is substantive expertise. Okay. And some programming skills. Also, we can term it as hacking skills. So data science is a combination of intersection of mathematics, programming, and domain. Okay. Just one or two would not be sufficient, but a combination of all put together would help you in good understanding of data science. Okay. Now let us see what are the different use cases. As I said, data science is a field which is domain agnostic. So whether you work in oil and gas, whether you work in retail and supply chain, whether you work in banking and finance, healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, e-commerce, no matter what, no matter what, the skills which you pick as part of data science are useful and can be applicable in every field and can be applied in every field. Okay. So look at this industry, Uber. So it, based upon the data science skills or data analytics it does, it recommends drivers to get stationed at some important points. It could be near railway stations, malls, it could be near IT parks, it could be near bus stations. So basically, they will get information about the demand heat maps, and based upon that, they will either surcharge you or they will ask the drivers to position themselves nearby the areas where it is more crowded. Okay, so this is one example how the rental cab companies are utilizing data analytics. If you look at Netflix, it will recommend to you certain videos based on your past history. Okay. Similar to YouTube, earlier if you listen to one Kishore Kumar song, you used to get only all Kishore Kumar songs as recommendations. And nowadays, did you see, based on your previous history, now when you search for Kishore Kumar song, you will also get that recipe which you might have browsed or your spouse might have browsed using your mobile or email account. Okay. They may also show some other kind of documentaries which you have seen in the past. So it's not just the monotonous kind of thing, whatever you searched, similar recommendations are shown, but rather based on your history recommendations are shown. So that is how every recommendation system is being improved day in and day out. If you know, Netflix has conducted one competition few years back wherein it asked people to design a recommender system. Although they had their own recommendation system, still they asked people to design a recommendation system to see what can be improved on their side. Okay, although they didn't implement the findings, but they rewarded the person suitably. Okay, so Netflix, YouTube, and many other places like Amazon, Flipkart, these companies are using the techniques of collaborative filtering, using the huge amount of customer purchase data, using the customer browsing data. They are able to give you reports. Okay. In the healthcare sector, Merck company is finding about the efficacies or the effects of medicine on different species. Okay, based on the data history they have. Okay. Similarly, on the banking side, people are working in detecting fraud detection, anti-money laundering, market abusive behavior using the machine learning techniques. If you are into real estate, there is a company called Zillow, which will try to predict the value of their houses based on their brand value, amenities, number of houses, carpet area, amenity, all those things which you just talked about. We have in the first half of the session. Okay, can you hear me? Just checking. Okay, it's clear now. Good. So similarly, in manufacturing side, companies like Bosch, Samsung, what they are trying to do is they are trying to predict their machine failures ahead of time. If you go for high-end cars like BMW, Mercedes, and etc., with the advent of IoT devices, the sensor data is collected and transmitted from the car to the car manufacturing company or the agent, and there the data is monitored. And if there is any failure which is going to get occur, the car owner will get an instant message saying that your car is about to malfunction, kindly bring it to our service station to get it fixed. So all this is possible using data analytics, and there are many other industries also which you can take example for. Okay, not only these, there are companies which are investing heavily into data science and analytics just because there is a wealth of data present in the data they have. Can you comprehend how important it is to understand what are the different use cases in different industries? Oil and gas, huge amount of data is collected every day from different sensors to predict where the oil lies, okay? To predict how far or how soon the oil reserves may end, okay? To predict the usage pattern of the consumption of oil, okay? And so on and so forth. So McDermott is a company which works in oil and gas field. So this company McDermott, it does use high-end analytics to uh, determine the oil reserves. Okay. So if you don't know, you can. They have started recently one unit in Pune which discusses more about how to tap into the data they have and get more insights out of it to devise the strategy for the future of the company. Okay, so that those are some points which I wanted to share. But there are many applications. If you look for banking and any other, chatbots have become very common these days. No matter which website you go, no matter which bank you go, you have a chatbot which addresses your basic inquiry questions. Have you encountered any chatbot which helps you in your day-to-day life? Where if so, can someone share his experience? Swiggy chatbot. Okay, great. And only Swiggy? HDFC Bank, correct. Digital Vidya chatbot. Okay, good. Yeah. So every industry, whether it is education, academic, whether it is in banking, finance, media, entertainment, cab rental, whatever, everyone is trying to use the analytics techniques to improve their business and to improve their customer experience. So that is where the skills which we are going to learn will be of paramount importance. Okay. Okay. So we often hear various terminologies in the data science space, like what is AI, what is machine learning, what is deep learning. Okay, so let me just give an example and tell you with this diagram. Okay, so AI is a big superset. Okay, of which machine learning is a part of it, and deep learning is further a subset of machine learning. Okay, so NLP, machine learning, deep learning, all this will come under the gamut of AI. Okay, your computer vision is nothing but part of deep learning. Okay, your algorithms like linear, logistic regression, clustering, classification, random forest, etc. You might have heard some of these terms. They will be part of your machine learning. Okay, and AI is nothing but a superset of all this. You use the application of machine learning, deep learning, NLP, computer vision, etc. Together, we can call it as AI. Okay, or artificial intelligence. Okay, so when you have good amount of data which is labeled, and you want to do some clustering, classification, or regression, you can use machine learning. Okay, for doing deep learning, you always should have labeled data. There are some algorithms like auto encoders, etc., which help in understanding unsupervised data as well. But small bit of labeled data is definitely required to do deep learning, even using auto encoders. Okay. Anyways, deep learning is beyond the scope of this course. I'm just giving you one small instruction. Deep learning works on the principle of artificial neural networks. Okay, it works on the principle of artificial neural networks, which form the basic component of deep learning skill set. So basically, it is to simulate a brain-like neuron-like structure where there will be hidden layers, okay, which will take the inputs and then it will assign some weights to your inputs, and based on that, the final outcome will be detected. So that is something. Deep learning is possible when there is huge amounts of data. If the data is very small, then deep learning doesn't make any sense. In order for neural networks to be very effective, deep learning needs huge amount of labeled data to give you correct classification or prediction. Okay, whereas machine learning may work even with a small set of data. Okay, so whenever you have huge amount of data, deep learning, huge amount of labeled data, deep learning is preferable. Small amount of data, then you can go for machine learning. The second caveat is deep learning works pretty much like a black box. Once the inputs go into the artificial neural network, what comes as output is something which you need to accept. But because of what reasons that output has come, you will not be able to find, because the way neural networks operate inside, the way they detect pattern and all is hidden from the end user. Therefore, you won't be able to predict. Whereas in machine learning, if you give certain inputs, you apply some decision tree or random forest, you will be able to see the structure and you will be able to identify that these could be the possible reasons for getting this outcome. Okay, so this is at very high level, which I am telling you. When we go delve deeper into machine learning, we will speak about each algorithm, how it is working, what is the math behind it, and how the outcome could be predicted. Is it clear about machine learning, deep learning, AI? I'll discuss the formal definitions as well. But by and large, did you get the understanding when we apply ML, when we apply DL? Okay, good to know that. So let us go to the formal definitions also. So what is AI? The theory and development of computer systems which are able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. So basically, as I said to you, a combination of NLP, NLP is text mining, or and then machine learning and deep learning put together is together called as AI. What is machine learning? It is a field of computer science that uses statistical techniques to give computer systems the ability to learn from the data, okay, with data without being explicitly programmed. So there are a set of algorithms. When the data is given as input to them, they will understand the patterns in the data. You need not specify any rules, okay. So they will understand the patterns in the data and the outcome, and accordingly, for an unlabeled record, the outcome would be predicted. Okay, so this new name, this was a branch of statistics. In 1959, this was given a new name called as machine learning by Arthur Samuel. Now, deep learning is a new area of machine learning research, which has been introduced with the objective of moving machine learning closer to AI. Now, basically, deep learning is addition to machine learning. When we have huge amounts of data, labeled data, we can process it using artificial neural networks, and just like we simulate our brain function using the ANN, we try to do that. Okay, so in our quest to build machines capable of different brain functions such as image and speech understanding, we have discovered that it is of paramount importance to understand how data in the world shapes the brain. Models that are learned from data are the best at any task such as image understanding and speech recognition. For example, just like a child, when you are born, your abilities develop over a period of time. You recognize colors after 3 months. You try and understand what are these shapes. When your parents or your neighbors tell you it is a dog, it is a cat, over a period of time, you look at it and you create an image of a dog or cat and you understand that this is a dog, this is a cat. Similar to that, when you give the data in the form of pixels, the image data, there is an algorithm in deep learning called as convolution neural network, CNN, etc. Okay. Similarly, for doing text prediction, what will be the next text? When you are typing in WhatsApp or any other SMS, you will see that when you type one word, the other predictive word come. Have you seen that anytime? The next word is predicted, right? Yeah. Nowadays, updated Gmail version also, if you say please find attached, immediately it will say document or email. How many of you have seen this new feature in Gmail? Yeah, you have seen that, right? So that is the application of sequence prediction models like RNN, LSTM, etc. So that is behind deep learning is there. So when we try to Google also, when we give whatever we want, still Google gives you desired results, and that happens because it understands the essence of your question. So that happens because of NLP, natural language processing and natural language understanding. So behind the browser, there are several machine learning, deep learning algorithms which are running day in and day out and giving you the desired results. So that is the power of analytics, which Google has tapped into quite early, and many others are also in the row. So does that help in getting a clear view about what we are dealing with? Yes, no? Guys, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, so that's in a nutshell about AI. So there are many use cases which we are seeing. Self-driving cars by Tesla in California, they have already done. Then there are shops in Amazon has created a shop without any storekeeper. Okay. Then we have virtual assistants like Siri, Alexa, Cortana, Google Assistant. So these are very interesting applications which are coming up these days. So they explicitly work on the principle of NLP, voice to speech, speech to voice to text recognition, and then converting the text into NLP, understanding deep within what is the essence of the question asked, and accordingly giving you an output. So these are the applications, the end products of the analytics techniques which you are seeing at their nascent stage. In future, there will be huge amounts of improvement in these devices, and we are going to see a whole revolutionary products coming up. In fact, have you seen the movie Wall E? Wall E is a cartoon movie. It was, I think, in 2008. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a futuristic movie which talks about how things would be very much making life easy. I don't know whether we need to fear of that, but then many things will be controlled by just your words. If you just give a command, there will be machines which will be doing things for you. So life on Earth, yeah. So there are many movies. Then there is a movie called as Her, Her, Her. Okay, so which talks about how an operating system pretty much behaves like a person who understands you, who consoles you. So more or less, I think we are making our journey towards that day, but it's little far, but not very far. Okay, so that's how we are seeing. Even these days, we are hooked up on our mobiles with ignoring people neighbor to who are neighbor to us. It's a sad state or good state, I don't know, but I would say it's a good state to be in if you know the skills, because you will be designing those products and you will be high in demand in the markets. Okay, so with respect to the financial implications, if you know the skill set and you dig deeper into them, it's very advantageous position for you. Do you agree with me on that? Yeah, so let us try and be in that place. Okay, so we have spoken about huge amounts of data being deployed onto servers every day, whether it is Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or any other. For example, a simple aeroplane engine has a radiator or black engine, black box, which has huge amounts of data stored. Based on that, you can get lot of information. There are sensors everywhere. So from that IoT devices, you can get the data. So there are data from different number of transactions done by customers on different platforms. So wherever you just click on a browser and you start browsing single thing, entire data would be transmitted to different industries. Depending on what you are browsing, what kind of products can be shown to you would be showing in the left side or right side and the middle side, so that you can buy them. Have you seen when you open Times of India or when you open any other site which you regularly use, based upon your search history, there are certain products which are recommended to you. How many of you seen this? All of you, I believe, right? So that is possible because of data analytics, and that is possible because of this huge amount of data footprint we are leaving everywhere we go. Okay, so the scale of data is humongous. 40 zettabytes of data will be created by 2020. Okay, and 6 million people have cell phones already. I don't know how many of them have. In a one home, there will be four people, and four people almost will have the cell phones. Okay, so depending upon the accessibility of internet, so Geo has made life easy among Indians. Every villager also has a Geo phone now. Okay, so the data which was not accessible from the rural areas earlier is now a potential data. People who are afraid of doing online shopping back 2 years back now are very much ordering their phones, their other shopping from rural areas. So Amazon, Flipkart has service centers, has delivery boys even at remote taluka level these days. Earlier, we used to think that they are only confined to cities, but with the application of free internet or free geo connections within India, I'm talking just about India. Other world is already much ahead of us in terms of usage of internet and many other things, but a lot of potential exists with the advent of smartphone and free internet or almost free internet. It has become quite imperative that more and more data will be collected, more or more chances for people to market their products and to reach to that segment of customers which have never been, a source of income for the online industry. How many of you have seen your relatives or friends who are in rural parts of the country are exclusively using Facebook, WhatsApp very much these days, and are also not afraid of doing online shopping? How many of you have witnessed it? Yeah. So that is what this free and almost free internet can do. Okay. So huge amounts of data are coming. So to process the data, you need to have suitable architecture. That is where I was talking about importance of um, Hadoop and Scala, Spark, etc. So big data has four characteristics. It is huge in volume. It is huge in at the rate at which comes the velocity. It is very big in variety, and it is very big in veracity also. So input is coming from different transactions, online, offline, banking, social media, IoT, machine to machine. Then you are also having all kinds of data, structured data in the form of Oracle tables, unstructured data in the form of text, video, visual, music, voice, pictures. Okay, this all comes under unstructured data. So all types of characteristics of this data are there. Now, when you put together all these characteristics, you process them, you apply analytics techniques on them, then you derive a fifth key called as value for the customer or value for the client. Okay. So if you can uncover the hidden patterns from the huge deluge of data you are getting, you derive value. And this is what your potential client or potential company would like you to do as a data scientist. So if you derive value from the big data, doing analytics, then you are valuable to the company, and that is what they pay you for. Okay. So that is why data scientists are paid huge, because they can extend their knowledge in deriving value for the customer. Clear? Can I move ahead? Okay, Abhishek. So volume means huge amounts of data coming from different sources. Velocity is the rate at which it's coming. As I discussed, every day huge amount of visual data is uploaded onto internet. Anything you do on internet would be having its own footprint of data. Okay, and then you are getting sensor data from various sources. You are streaming data on various channels. So all this is structured plus unstructured data. There is different variety of data. Data is in the structured format in tables, unstructured format in Amazon reviews, textual data. Then there are pictures, visuals, audio, video. Okay, Abhishek, is it clear? Yeah. Okay. So Python and data analytics. As I said, Python is a programming language which we have chosen because it is the one which is in huge demand when compared with other languages like SAS. SAS is a paid version, therefore we won't go for it. Companies are dropping if they have already SAS, except few companies. All of them are very much into applying data analytics techniques using open source programming languages. Okay, so that is why Python, which is open source, which is very fast when compared with R, and which is high in demand in the industry. So that's the reason we are learning Python, data science with Python. Okay. So Python has good packages to implement statistical model, to implement data and to do pre-processing, to create visualizations. We have libraries like Matplotlib and Seaborn, and we can also do machine learning and deep learning using Python. But deep learning is out of scope of this course, we won't be touching it. But otherwise, rest of the things we will be discussing of this class. Okay. So within Python, for statistics, we have a library called as. Hello, can you hear me? Is it clear now, Jatin? Okay, wait a minute. Rahul, can you hear me? Rahul Chandra? Some of you are able to hear, some of you are finding difficulty.
Mahesh, sometimes we have this little break in the voice, but it's mostly audible. So I guess it's maybe a connectivity issue. So
Okay,
it's okay for some part, and sometimes we face this audio issue.
okay. Being an online session, I believe at times there could be some issues, both at my end or your end, right? So
Right.
we try to minimize and I'll try to repeat whatever you have missed. So don't be afraid to, ask if you have missed anything because of voice breakage. Okay. Uh, Okay. So as I was talking, Python is a chosen language because it is in high demand in the industry. Okay. So we have different packages to do statistical analysis, mathematical analysis, data preprocessing using pandas, mathematics using NumPy and SciPy libraries, statistics using stats models. So these are all various packages. So if you have learned any low-level language like C or C++, you might have studied about various packages like stdio.h is library. So all those C libraries you remember, you had to import them. So similar to that in Python also we will import packages like stats models, NumPy, SciPy to do various things. How many of you remember the libraries which you have imported in C? Conio.h, stdio.h. You have done that earlier? Yeah. So we will do similarly in Python also. We will import certain packages. Okay. For doing statistical analysis, we will import stats model. For doing any mathematical thing, we have NumPy, SciPy. For handling data, manipulating data, we have pandas. Okay. For doing data visualization, we have matplotlib, seaborn, plotly, etc. And for implementing machine learning algorithms exclusively, we have scikit-learn. So these are some popular libraries. There are many other as well, but these are the ones which are popularly used, and we will be using them throughout our course. Okay. Okay. So in order to work with Python, we will be using Jupyter Notebook. And as you might have said already that you have installed it, so it's good. So we will discuss about Jupyter Notebook. It's a server client application that allows editing and running notebook documents via a web browser. So if you look here, so this is one Jupyter Notebook. So the beauty of Jupyter Notebook is you can write text here and at the same time you can do coding also. Okay, so both things are possible. So if you want to create a new Jupyter notebook, all of you listen carefully what you do. Okay, so what you do is you will go here, new notebook, then you select Python default, or if there is anything else you can select it. Python default you can select. So how to open Jupyter notebook first of all? So if you have installed Anaconda, go and search for Anaconda prompt. You have done this? Maybe you can do with me if you haven't done this earlier. Okay. So you click on here. You click here. So you will have something like this. See users, your name will come. Type Jupyter Notebook. Okay. And press and enter. So when you press enter, it will do some processing and it will open a web browser. If the web browser is already open, it will open a new tab in the web browser. So it says kernels found. The port 888 is already used. So it has created a new port now. So I was already opened Jupyter Notebook. So when I opened, it has created local host 8888 as the server. So the next time when I opened, it created with a 8889. Okay. So this is what will be done. So if you see here, it will give you access to various folders. You can go to that particular folder where your Python file is located. So in my case, I have desktop. On that there is a DV folder. On that there is another DV folder. So inside that there is session 1 and 2 content folder. And there is this IPYNB. This means IPython notebook. Okay. This means Python notebook. So it's a Jupyter notebook extension. Okay, so I will click on that. So it will open the existing notebook. Okay, so it says as of now you see the kernel is not yet started. So it will take some time to get started. So let it open. So once it open, you see that there will be a Python default. So wait a minute, it will open in a while. Yeah. So you see the kernel now it has opened completely and yeah, loading notebook. I refreshed it, right? So it took some time. So here you can see loading extensions, etc., etc. You're seeing a message at the bottom of the screen. Okay. So now it is open the kernel ready and Python. This is okay. So earlier it was dark. Now it is opaque. Can you see that? Okay. So if you look at this Jupyter window, if you want to create a new file, you can either create it from the first screen or any screen. Just if you are here, then you can create it from here. Go to the new option. Go to the new option. Select Python default as notebook. Create one. So it will create on that path a new notebook. Okay. So it has created a new notebook. Suppose you are already on this open file and you want to create a copy of this file without changing this. So you can go to file menu, say make a copy. Okay, so it will create a copy of this. So when it does that, it will have a name which will be same as the original name with an extension with slash copy or hyphen copy. Okay. So these are some shortcuts which you should all know, because once we start with the basic session, from next session onwards, we will be discussing every topic in Jupyter Notebook itself. Okay, so everything will be part of practical hands-on. So it won't be a theoretical class. It would be everything will be discussed as part of Jupyter Notebook itself. Where necessary, we will have a PPT, but otherwise, most of the times it would be as part of Jupyter Notebook. Okay. So now we are trying to create a copy of this existing file. Okay. So there are other things which you can do. If you want to rename a file, you can click on rename. Okay. If you want to download the file, click download as, then you will see various options. Okay. So you see this is created the same file with an extension of copy one. Did you notice that it has created a copy? Yeah. So now if I want to change this name, I can just double click here. When I double click here, it will allow me to change. So I can simply change it. Some name I can give, whatever. Okay. And say OK. So immediately rename happened. You can do renaming like this by double clicking here, or you can go here and then click on rename, and then you can do. Either ways you can change the name. Is it clear? Okay. So next thing which I want to teach you is downloading. So if you want to download this as a Jupyter notebook, then click on notebook IPYNB. If you want to download it as a Python file with .py extension, you can do that as well. Okay. So with various extensions, there are features you can download it. Okay. Now, so this is a new empty file which you created. So whenever you want to create a cell on the Jupyter notebook, you can create a plus button. Just click on the plus button. It will create a new box for you. Okay. So what goes in the box? Do you want to write code in the box, or you want to write text in the box so that you can read it nicely with comments? So depending upon what you want, you can select here. In this box, if you select code, so it will assume that whatever you are writing here is a Python code. If you select heading, it will understand that what is going to be here is a heading. For example, hello world. This is what I want to write. So once I have written this, if I want to execute this cell, I can press this button, run cell. So it will be doing like this. Okay. So this is your hello world command. Now what you have done is you have written a text in a box, and then you have selected here as heading. So therefore it remained as a text. If you want to edit it at a later stage, double click here. Then you say, this is my first try in JN Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so you can press this run button. Okay, now double click again. So I taught you that you can run it by selecting this play button. Alternatively, if you want to execute this, you can use Control plus Enter. Control plus Enter will also run the cell. Is that clear? So if you go to the help menu, you will find many shortcuts here, keyboard shortcuts. Go to the help menu, click on keyboard shortcuts. So if you go here, you will find. So just like in your notepad, if you want to find and replace something, you can press F. Okay. For example, I say come here and say F. Okay. Replace capital hello with a small hello. Click on replace all. So it is get replaced. Clear? It's just like any other notepad. So go to the help menu again, keyboard shortcuts. There are many shortcuts here. Okay. Suppose you want to insert a cell above or insert a cell below. There are buttons here. For example, let me show you. Now I clicked here. So when I clicked here, this is shown in green color. Can you see the boundary is green? The boundary is green, right? Press escape, it will become blue. Okay, press escape, it will become blue. Now if I want to create a cell above it, I can just type A. If I want to if I want to create a cell below it, I can just type it's above and below, so you can just press A and B. So accordingly the cells will be created. Okay, so whenever the cell is in green, it means you are editing that cell. Whenever it is in blue, it means you have just selected the cell. Is the difference clear? Yeah. Using A and B buttons, you can create cells above and below. And then there are other shortcuts also. Over a period of time, by looking at them, you will understand how to use. So different types of headings. Just like in a Word document, you have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So you will also able to create different types of headings. Suppose, okay. Now let me do a very simple operation, 1 plus 2. Okay. So when I do control enter, I am running it. So you see this statement where you have written the code is called as input, and the statement you have generating as output will be thrown as output. Okay. So next sentence I make 3 plus 4 and run it. 7. So this is the second statement. So when you start the Jupyter notebook for the first time and run it for the first time, it will start from the sequence 1, 2. Yes. Shift fill enter. Shift plus enter, what it does is it will execute the current cell and move the control to the next cell. Control plus enter, it will run the cell and remain there. Shift plus enter will run the cell and move to the next cell. Did you notice, Abhishek? This is what I am doing. Control, shift enter I have done now. If I do control enter, it remained there. If I do shift enter, it will move to the next cell, but it would not execute the next cell. It will just move to the control to the next cell. Okay, clear? So there are many other shortcuts also, but these are the ones which we frequently use. Okay, so you can just explore these keyboard shortcuts and try practice using them. Okay, the main ones are creating cell above and below, control enter, shift enter, find and replace. Okay, and these are the ones which are quite frequently used. Rest all depends upon how you want to use them. Okay. So now you understand we can do simple operations here using Jupyter Notebook. Okay. So you can insert cell above or below by doing here go to insert command and do, or you can simply say A and B just like I taught by selecting the, this is like editing, press and escape, it will become blue color, it is selected mode. Clear? Any questions, comments? Okay. So similarly, the different views, everything can be seen here. Again, merging two cells, splitting cells, deleting cells, all these are available. So better you get used to the help command where there are shortcuts. That makes your life easy and faster doing work here. Okay, when compared with going to every menu and doing the things one by one. Okay, so the faster you are able to do, the more time you can spend on analysis rather than working around with Jupyter. Does that sound interesting? Okay. I have shown that, right, Abhishek? Just select any cell, then you select here as heading, okay, or markdown, whatever you want. Once you select heading or markdown, the in thing will disappear. So it means it will be ready to accept any command. So I say Abhishek is an avid reader and press Control Enter. So it will become a comment. So if you want to comment anything within the coding cell, then also you can just give a hash and say, this is my first mathematical sum on Jupyter Notebook. Press N. Okay. So within the code line also you can write the comment. Just you have to precede the text with a hash symbol.
Uh, Mahesh, can I ask some question on this?
Yeah, sure.
Uh, this I understood that you are specifying here what actually this statement is. But while coding, if I want to make some particular line of code as a comment or
Yeah.
just don't want.
That also you can do. Suppose um, you write some multiple lines in a particular, say, x equal to 2 into 3, okay, y is equal to x square, okay, something like this. That's what you're saying. And suppose you want to comment out a particular line, you can just do like this. And then print x. Is that fine?
Yeah. Thank you.
And suppose there are multiple lines, okay, multiple lines. For example, all of these you want to comment together, okay, in one shot. So just select them. If it is your Chrome browser, control and backslash, control and forward slash, okay, control plus forward slash. So you can comment multiple lines at a single instance using that. And you can, if you want to remove the comment, again press control and slash, the comments will go out. Clear? Same thing, control slash, you will add comments. And if you again press control slash, the comments will go off. Okay? So you can do multiple things like this. Karthik, just check for Firefox what it is on Google. I mostly use Chrome. So I think the same should work, but it could be different for different browsers. So just check it out once. So Nakshi, what do you mean by docstring? For working with Python, you are asking? I would suggest Jupyter because Jupyter is being widely used and this is the one which will be following throughout the program. Okay, so I would recommend using Jupyter. Okay, so there are many things. You have PyCharm, you have Spider, you have many other like Nthought Canopy and many other IDEs. But Jupyter is easy to read and easy to use and widely used across industry. So Jupyter is the foremost, then comes Spider, then other things. Okay, so we'll stick to Jupyter. Other than that, for this session, I think we would be using Jupyter. So I think that's a better idea to go with it. Sounds good? Okay. So let us move on. So that's about Jupyter Notebook we have discussed. So how to comment, how to add a cell before, after, how to remove a cell, how to add comments, how to do multi-line comments. Okay. That is something which we discussed. In IE, control plus slash comment single line only. Yeah. So it could be different as I said for different browsers. So for Chrome, it is control plus slash. For IE, it could be different. Check, you just need to Google, you'll get the details on Stack Overflow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So moving on. So these are the ones which I have shown to you: the text cell, code cell, output cell, input cell. I have discussed why we use Python over R and SAS. Okay. Moving on. Open platforms. Yeah. This was the thing which I told in the earlier generation. We used to just learn a new language, do some coding assignments, prepare for interview question, and start with a job. But nowadays, it has become important that you first create your online profile wherein you show that you have worked considerably. So you do your assignments as part of the code, upload it on both Digital Vidya portal and you have this GitHub portal as well, right? So you create a GitHub profile. Okay. On that profile also you can upload your projects, not your simple assignments, but the projects which you do. So that would give you an online visibility. So first you learn the new language and skill set. Next you do your coding assignments and project. And ensure that you create a GitHub profile. So whenever a prospective employer is looking for a candidate, if he finds a GitHub link on the profile, he may just would like to go through it and see what kind of work you have done. So if it is a public work, then definitely he can take a look at it. If it's a private work, you may choose whether to give access to people or not. But by and large, if it is a generic work, you can definitely showcase your capabilities by putting your code onto GitHub. How many of you know GitHub? Okay, okay. So most of you know. So yeah, you can create a GitHub profile for yourself, and once you start doing your data science projects, you can upload those data science projects over there. In fact, you will get a wealth of resources from GitHub, like various cheat sheets, various shortcuts, and all that. So at this point, I don't want to tell you all those things, but it's a very great wealth of resource. Okay, so once you have gained sufficient amount of skills, you can try and answer some questions on Stack Overflow. Now, Stack Overflow is a very good site for any kind of Python questions you have. Okay, sometimes you do not know a particular syntax or what to do or what not to, depending upon how new user you are. Okay, so if you go here, Stack Overflow, I think it is there for various languages also. If you want Python related questions, just type in, you will find a plethora of questions there. For example, if you say how to create a new column, okay, and very simple thing in pandas data frame. Okay, so as simple as this, you do a query. See, the first thing which will be coming from a Stack Overflow. So this is like your technical Google for any questions. So you can answer some questions over here. So that would also tell your online presence. Okay, so most of you who are from IT or non-IT background, so understand that creating online presence in terms of your skills is as important as knowing the skills these days. Okay, so you can try doing that. And once you start working on Kaggle projects, okay, so Kaggle is a website. Now it is owned by Google. Okay, Kaggle, Google. Okay, so you go here, and then there will be various data sets present. You can work on any of these data sets. You can also look at what is the data and what are the existing solutions. Okay. Now show you one by one what are these different tabs on Kaggle. Okay. So Kaggle conducts competitions sometimes monthly, sometimes quarterly, sometimes weekly also. So it depends upon the way they have collected the data. So you go to the competitions tab, and if there are any open competitions, so usually they give a good amount of time, about a month or so. Okay, and each of these competitions will have a prize money as well. So if you look here, this is a project, 2 Sigma, to using news to predict stock movements. So this is a project. Now using this project has about $100,000 as prize money. Okay, and you can make teams or you can participate as individual. It depends completely upon you. Sometimes some small companies are also giving some masked data so that they can implement the top solution from this Kaggle projects in their own company. Okay, so there is a huge prize money. People are some people become like Kaggle grandmasters, masters, etc. So it all depends upon how much time and energy you are ready to spend here. Okay, so for any competitions, you first have to register yourself. Once you create a user ID and password for Kaggle, you will be having access to all the data set. So typically when you click on any particular competition or data set, there are various tabs. Overview. It gives high level information about what this competition is. Okay. Then we will go to the data tab. In the data tab, you will have data sources. So you will have a sample market data, and then there is a news sample. Okay. So these are your input data CSV files, which you need to download and start working. Okay. So within each data set, there are various columns. Okay, time, asset code, etc. Now, what do these columns mean? All information about that will be as part of the data set. Then there is a section called as kernels. These kernels, you will have solutions given by different people. Okay, some people just do an EDA of the data, exploratory data analysis. Some people will do some models also on the data. Okay, so these are the different people who have done. Depending upon how many upvotes are there. So if you are seeing these are upvotes, okay, this solution is more popular than any other solution. Any solution having highest number of upvotes, it means it is the most popular solution. Okay. If you look here, wherever it is py, it means it's a Python based solution, and wherever it is R, it is a R based solution. So did you understand what it is now? Okay. Now if you click on this particular solution, you will see the code which they have run. So what is the code they have run in Python? That we will see. So this is opening a Jupyter notebook. So in Kaggle also they work in Jupyter notebooks. Okay, they have their own set of notebook. See, any report which you prepare, they have clearly written what all they have done: introduction and roadmap, stationarity in time series, everything they have checked. Step by step, they have written what they have done. Now here it is the code which is starting, importing the libraries, and then starting with pre-processing the data, reading the data. Okay, they are reading the data, then plotting the data. Can you see this? So it's very intuitive and very easy to use thing. Okay. Now you see there are different things here. So this is code. So just when you generate the code in Python in another language, then code will come. So this is the data they have used. Okay. Then there are comments given by people for his code. So they say thanks for a great kernel. So depending upon how he liked, how many versions of the same file he has created. So he has worked seven. This is his seventh version. Okay. Forks is nothing but how many people have forked it. So it means how many people have made a copy of this notebook. So forking is telling about how many people have did use this notebook. If you want to fork it, you click on fork, then it will open in your own ID. Okay. So you should have been logged in here. So once you log in, it will create that fork in your ID. Okay. So it will open, and now you can start working on that in your own fashion. So when you fork it, you start working on it. Okay. So when you fork it, it will ask for understanding and accept. So it will open a new instance. Okay, is it opening? It says your code isn't committed yet. Click commit to execute it top to bottom and share or submit your work. Now you can just start from where he left and start coding. So initially, as a practitioner, you can start doing certain things. Okay, so it is still loading. Okay, if you want to edit, you can edit. You can make some changes, etc. All these things can be done here in the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so if you want to run each cell, you can still run that. Okay, so all these things can be done. So clear about Kaggle. Create a user ID password, explore the Kaggle, different data sets, kernels, forking, overview. All these are very important part as a learning for us when we are learning data science. Okay, so this is something which you can do. Okay, so this would help in establishing your online profile. So whenever you are building your resume, share your GitHub link, share your Kaggle profile link on your resume. And there are competitions conducted both in Kaggle, and then there is a site called as Analytics Vidya. So you can participate in those competitions, and whatever rank you get, you can mention that as your accolades section, appreciation section. So that would be helpful to you. Okay, you can form groups within your batch to take participation in the Kaggle competitions. Or once you join Kaggle, there are people who are looking for participants in their teams. So you can, give your name to them. So that way you will be able to take part in these competitions either individually or as a part of a team. Is that clear? Great. So I've discussed about Kaggle and Kaggle. So these are some popular data sets on Kaggle. It's IMDb, European Soccer Database. Iris is a data set on various plant species. So you classify the flowers based on their length and width. Okay. So these are some popular data sets which you can explore. I have shown you how people do in coding R, Python, etc. So you can look at the kernels that have most votes, look at kernels from data scientists, fork from an existing kernel. Okay, all these things I have shown you. So we discussed about Kaggle competitions, prize money, how some companies share their real data and look for a solution on Kaggle. So it's very important. Sometimes, if you offer the best solution, you can get the best job also. So you never know. So there are many people who have earned lakhs of rupees on Kaggle as well. Okay. So, but the only thing is you need to have sufficient time to do that. Okay. So this is one Titanic data set I was mentioning in the beginning of our class. Okay. So you can just go and take a look at the data. It's a very small data. Just take a look at it and see. This is the basic thing which any data analyst or data scientist starts his work with. So when we are done with about 3 to 4 sessions, when I'm starting pandas, at that time, once you complete the pandas, you can start working on Kaggle. I will mention it when I am again, taking those sessions. But remember that Titanic is a very simple data set which we will be working with initially. Okay. Any doubts, questions, comments? Okay, fantastic. So another site where we will have small scale competitions. This is also good for learners. So called as datascience.net. So here also you will have some data sets, some competitions which are launched. So you can go through those competitions, take part in them. Okay. So let's translate this page. Okay. And then see there are challenges here. Challenges are basically competitions. Okay. Probabilistic forecast of wind and electricity. So these are all like forecasting problems. So there's a small prize money here, not as attractive as on Kaggle, but there are definitely some competitions in which you can take part. And if you win, nothing like that. Then there is ranking of people which you can take a look at. Okay. So people earn by doing this. This as freelancing also. Some people do work on this and gain the money. Okay. So this is how datascience.net would also help you. Obviously, you have to create an account and then browse through the data. And then this particular site is there, Analytics Vidya. Okay. So Analytics Vidya is a very popular Desi version of discussing anything related to analytics. You might have heard this name prior to this. It's a very good site, handy to understand some simple concepts in a way in which a reader understands them. So you can go and search for anything. You have competitions also here. Then there are some sessions as well which they conduct. Okay, so you can just take participation in this. Here the prize money would be very low. Okay, so but still for learning sake, it's a good platform. So I recommend Kaggle, data science, and similarly, I will encourage you to take part in analytics with the competition also. Okay, so that is how you can increase your visibility in the online space. Okay. So yeah, it's very clear. Download the data, pre-process it, build a model, upload the test results. So that is how these competitions are. Now, as I said, for this course, we will be mostly using the IPL data set for the first 9 sessions. Okay. So why IPL? Because this was how the course was designed. And second thing, more or less in India, most of the people know something about cricket. If not, they will know what is a wide, what is a four, six wickets, runs, etc. than any other game. It's more intuitive and people understand it fairly. So that is why it was chosen. Okay. So if you go to this data set on Kaggle, I want every one of you to download this data into your Digital Vidya data science folder, which you might have created. Okay. Now there are two data sets available here. One is called as matches, another is deliveries. Okay. If you want to download, there is an icon here. Click on deliveries. It will start downloading. Click on matches. It will start downloading matches. Okay. After that, you just need to extract it and work. So what does this data contain? So just look at this. So as you know, it's a bad ball game. You want to win. Everyone teams want to win. IPL, every ball by ball details, which team has won, by how many runs, how many wickets, who was batting first, who was batting second. All that information is there as part of various columns of this data set. Okay. So if you look at the data tab here, so you click on particular. So this has information on match ID, innings, batting team, bowling team, over, ball, batsman, who was the non-striker, is it a super over, how many wide runs, by runs, no ball runs. So there are several columns which talk about different, aspects of the game. So these are the ball by ball deliveries present in the deliveries.csv file. Now, if you go to matches.csv file, this has information on the matches. Match ID, which season? Is it 2017, 16, 15? Which city it is played? What is the date of the game? Who is team 1? Who is team 2? Who was the toss winner? What was the decision of the winner? Did he want to buy a bat or ball? Okay, the result. Okay, whether Duckworth Lewis was applied in the match. So Duckworth Lewis is basically a technique which is applied to increase the runs or decrease the runs if something happens like rain, etc. Okay, so depending upon number of wickets lost, number of overs remaining, okay, a score will be suggested by the ICC match referee and umpires. So based on that, the team has to score. Okay, so everyone I think is very much familiar with these terms and terminologies. I don't think I need to teach anyone about cricket in India, isn't it? Okay, you can laugh, that's not a problem. Give a smiley if you think it's a joke. Okay, yeah. So that's about the data set which we are going to use in our session. Okay. So people have already, worked on various parameters. So, a lot of analytics happen in the sports world as well. So depending upon a particular player's current form, would he be able to generate more runs for one franchise? That is predicted. So depending upon how much amount to be paid to a player on a particular for a franchise, that is also decided based upon the number of runs scored by him, his current form, his natural instinct, his ability to rotate strike, his ability to hit big hits. All these things are taken into account before base price, and if a base price and a price above that is decided, a range is decided. Okay, sports analytics is a big area where people are working a lot. Okay, in fact, people were predicting who will win the football World Cup, and they have done also in some years. Okay, last time they failed to predict the right one, but more or less, a lot is being done in the areas like sports, politics. If you know this guy Prashant Kishore, he was the architect of Modi's victory. That's what people say in the last elections. Okay, so a lot of analytics was used by political parties these days to get the right set of expectations set in the people's mind. So there is no area which is being unaffected with the scope of with the effect of analytics. Okay, so people in every frame of mind, people in every area, whether it's politics, retail, manufacturing, banking, finance, and health, medicine, pharma, oil and gas, or name it anything, the effect of analytics and the usage of analytical skills, Python skills, machine learning skills is hugely required. So that is where everyone sees a huge scope. A tire industry looking for a data scientist, okay, a nut and bolt industry looking for a data scientist, an electronics industry looking for a data scientist, a banking and finance looking for a data scientist, an education and education startups like Baiju, etc. Who thought that the world would become so much fascinated with data scientists few years back? No one thought about it, but now everyone knows the wealth of information present in the data, and they know how to make life easy, how to make life predictable to certain extent using data. So that is where the skill set requirement and the depth of people with required skill set is there. So that is where I think we all are here to equip ourselves with the knowledge required to progress in this field and apply our existing skills along with the new skills we are picking up. Do you agree? Yeah. So I hope I have given you a wider picture about data science, its applications, the various terms, technologies used. So are you guys are having a fair bit of idea about what we discussed today and how we went about it? Any questions, comments, feedback? Okay. So this is a yeah,
Uh, Mahesh, one question.
yeah, sure.
How much statics information is required to be successful in while starting your career as a data scientist? My question is related to whatever beginners course we have got in from Digital Vidya.
Hmm.
We'll be starting with that. Apart from that, what else is required?
Okay. So about regarding statistic, right?
Yeah.
So there is one book called as Complete Business Statistics, okay, by Azel and Soundar Pandian. Okay, so you can find a e-version of the book as well, and you can buy a book. It costs 600 to 700. It's a very good book which gives a beautiful explanation of how each technique which is mentioned in the book is applicable in business scenario. Okay, so you can read this book in addition to the videos which you have. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, so this is a good book to get a good base in statistics, and I will also suggest some other books at a later stage when we talk about regression and all, but for a good descriptive and inferential, this is a good book. Okay, so guys, I have shared this feedback link. Okay, please share your valuable feedback which would help me in understanding your pulse. I mean, this is an earlier session. Okay, so we have so many questions coming up with respect to the stream now. Okay, good. So I'm working in sales, so I will be fresher in data analytics. What suggestion you can for upcoming session? Okay, Ayush, for upcoming session we'll be discussing with Python basics. If you have any programming background, it's always good. If you do not have, I would recommend that you start doing some small snippets of programming in your free time. Are you from engineering background, Ayush? Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I am from engineering background.
So you know coding,
I'm
right? Little
BTech
bit.
computer. Yeah, I know coding, but it's only that I'm not in a practice for past 1.5 year.
So it's a matter of practice, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Just do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you would be good.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Okay. Three basic prerequisites for everyone. Okay. If you are not aware of programming, learn programming to some extent, at least the basics. Python programming would not be as difficult as C, C++, or Java. It's very simple when compared with these languages. However, some kind of logic building should be known to a person. Okay. So how to write a small function, etc. These things are expected. Okay. So when we have sessions, we will talk about certain logics. It would be difficult to teach logic to a person. I can explain one by one step how they are doing, but how it is built, at least the basic notion of building a small function should be clear in everyone's head and heart. Okay. Okay. So everyone, first of all, complete the prerequisite courses on statistics. Statistics is the first thing which you should know to understand some terms and terminologies which I would be using as part of the class. Okay. So complete at least up to inferential statistics or basic descriptive statistics, and then I think we can learn as per the sessions we complete. Okay. Then a little bit of programming. I expect to build logically some functions, etc. That would be necessary. And if you do not have any domain knowledge, okay, there are three roles which people usually work in industry as. At entry levels, they could be analyst or data analyst, and then you could be senior data analyst or junior data scientist, or you could be data scientist or senior data scientist, depending upon your experience and then your skill set as well. Okay, so at a junior level, people expect you to be good at R or Python. So nowadays Python, okay? And then statistics. So if you know statistics and Python and some business knowledge, you will acquire over a period of time. So you need not be domain expert in the beginning, okay? Now for a mid-level person, he should know statistics programming to a good level, and then domain knowledge should be there at least to some extent. At a higher level, people with 10 plus years experience, their domain knowledge is very important. Along with that, they should have considerable amount of knowledge in Python and uh, statistics. So these are the three categories I would broadly divide: 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and 10 plus. Okay. So 0 to 5 people, focus should be more on visualizing data using Matplotlib, Seaborn, Tableau, ClickView, etc. And then people with 0 to 5 should also focus on understanding statistics and programming using Python. Okay, 5 to 10, you should be jack of all, master of some. Whereas 10 plus, people expect you to be, good at domain knowledge and application of statistics, etc. I hope that answers queries from many people in a nutshell. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? Okay, we are already 6 minutes past one. Okay, so I hope all of you are giving feedback. So I will take a look at it at a later stage and see if there are any improvements to be made on from my part. And at the same time, I would expect you to put in your efforts in doing the pre-reads before you come for the class. Would that be a great deal? Fair deal, right? Okay, guys, it was nice interacting with all of you. I hope you all had a great experience, if not a good one. And I hope that we'll meet next week again and we'll start working on basics of Python the next week. Okay. Yeah, till then, it's a good day to all of you. See you next week. Bye.